You finally get a quiet moment, and your body does not believe it. Nothing is burning, nobody is angry, no message has arrived with bad news, but you are still bracing. You sit on the couch with your phone beside you, trying to watch something simple, a show you have seen before, something that should not require effort. Your body is still, but inside, something keeps scanning the room, the phone, the time, the silence. You are not exactly afraid. You are not exactly upset. You just cannot land. A part of you keeps whispering that you are forgetting something. Maybe there is a message you haven't answered. Maybe someone needs something. Maybe there is a task you missed, a problem you did not notice, a mood you failed to read, a responsibility waiting behind the next quiet second. So you check your phone. Nothing. You put it down. Then you check it again. And the strange part is you may not even know what you are looking for. You are not searching for one specific emergency. You are searching for proof that the calm is allowed to continue. This is why rest can feel uncomfortable even when life looks peaceful from the outside, because sometimes the problem is not that something is wrong right now. Sometimes the problem is that your system learned to treat nothing wrong as the moment before something goes wrong. And that changes the way peace feels. For some people, relaxing is not simply sitting down. It is lowering the guard. It is stopping the scan. It is trusting that no one will suddenly need them, judge them, interrupt them, blame them, or pull them back into duty. And if you spent a long time being ready, that kind of trust can feel almost impossible. You may look calm to other people. You may even have a quiet life on paper. The room is safe, the day is open, there is no obvious crisis, but your body is still behaving like it has been left in charge of preventing one. So rest does not feel like rest. It feels like negligence. It feels like you are getting away with something. It feels like a door has been left unlocked somewhere inside you, and if you stop paying attention, the thing you were supposed to prevent will finally happen. That's why a free afternoon can feel more stressful than a busy one. When you are busy, at least there is a script, there is movement, there are tasks, there is a reason your body feels tense. But when nothing is happening, the tension has nowhere to go. It starts becoming louder. It starts looking for a target. And suddenly, instead of enjoying the quiet, you are wondering why you feel wrong inside it. You may start cleaning something that's already clean. You may open your laptop, even though the workday is over. You may answer messages too quickly just to keep the air clear. You may stand in the kitchen, not hungry, not focused, just moving from counter to counter because stillness feels exposed. You may lie in bed and feel your mind begin its night shift. Did I forget something? Did I upset someone? Will tomorrow be difficult? Is there something I should prepare now so it doesn't hurt later? From the outside, people may call this an inability to relax, but that can sound like a personal failure, as if you missed a basic human skill, as if rest is easy and you are just refusing it, as if calm is sitting right in front of you and you are too dramatic, too controlling, or too tense to accept it. But for many people, the deeper story is not that they don't know how to rest. It's that control once felt like the only way to stay safe. Maybe you learned to notice changes before anyone explained them, a shift in someone's tone, a door closing harder than usual, a delay in a reply, a face becoming quiet, a room becoming too still. Maybe you learned that peace could change quickly, and if you caught the change early enough, you could adjust yourself before things became worse. You could be helpful before someone asked. You could apologize before someone blamed you. You could work harder before someone criticized you. You could stay alert before disappointment arrived. Over time, this can train a person to confuse vigilance with responsibility. You begin to feel that if you are not monitoring everything, you are failing somehow. If you are not anticipating needs, you are selfish. If you are not preparing for the next demand, you are careless. If you are not tense, you are not paying attention. And then, years later, your life may become quieter, but your inner system doesn't automatically get the message. It keeps doing the old job. It keeps standing watch. That's one of the hardest parts to explain. The danger may be gone, but the preparation remains. The pressure may have changed, but the posture stays. You can be in a peaceful room and still feel like you are late to an emergency that hasn't happened yet. This is why silence can feel suspicious, not peaceful, suspicious. Because if you are used to living around demands, moods, deadlines, criticism, or emotional unpredictability, silence may not feel like freedom. It may feel like the pause before your name is called. So you do not fully enter the moment. You keep one part of your attention somewhere else. Even while watching a movie, you are half listening for a notification. Even while resting, you are mentally checking the state of other people. Even while lying down, you are planning how to make tomorrow less risky. And because nobody can see that work, they may think you are doing nothing. But inside, you are carrying a full-time security system. It does not look dramatic. It looks like scrolling. It looks like over-preparing. It looks like being unable to enjoy a Sunday evening. It looks like feeling guilty after sitting down for 10 minutes. It looks like needing to earn your rest before you can receive it. And even then, rest may come with a timer. You may tell yourself you can relax after the dishes are done, then after the laundry, then after one more email, then after you reply to that message, then after you plan the week, then after you make sure no one is disappointed. But the finish line keeps moving, because the real rule is not about the tasks. The real rule is that you are allowed to rest only when nothing can possibly go wrong, and life never offers that guarantee. So your mind keeps withholding permission. This is where the pattern becomes painful. The very thing that once helped you cope begins to steal the life it was trying to protect. Control promises safety, but it slowly takes away softness. It makes ordinary peace feel unsafe. It makes your body suspicious of kindness, quiet, empty space, and ease. You may start needing pressure in order to feel normal. A packed schedule can feel strangely easier than an open day. A crisis can feel more familiar than calm. A demanding person can feel more understandable than someone who simply lets you be. Because when things are intense, you know your role. You respond. You manage. You fix. You anticipate. You become useful. But when nobody needs anything, a deeper question appears. Who are you when you are not preventing something? That question can feel almost unbearable, because if your sense of worth became tied to readiness, stillness can feel like disappearing. If you were praised for being mature, helpful, low maintenance, strong, careful, or easy to depend on, then relaxation may not feel like a human need. It may feel like you're stepping out of the role that made you acceptable. So you keep performing, even alone. You do not need an audience to feel watched. The watcher has moved inside. It notices when you sleep too long. It comments when you rest before finishing everything. It makes pleasure feel slightly irresponsible. It makes doing nothing feel like evidence against you. And the saddest part is that you may judge yourself for the exhaustion this creates. You may think, why am I tired when nothing happened? But something did happen. You spent a day bracing for impact. You spent the evening managing invisible possibilities. You spent your quiet moments trying to prove that quiet was safe. That kind of internal labor is real, even when it produces nothing visible. It can make your body feel heavy. It can make your mind feel crowded. It can make simple choices feel strangely difficult. What do I want to eat? What do I want to watch? What would feel good right now? These questions can become hard when you are used to asking a different question first. What is required of me? When your attention has been trained outward for too long, your own preferences become faint. You can read the room faster than you can read yourself. You can sense what someone else might need before you can tell whether you are tired, sad, bored, hungry, or lonely. So when the room finally becomes quiet, you are not welcomed by peace. You are confronted by yourself. And if you have spent years postponing yourself, that can feel unfamiliar. This is why the answer is not simply to force relaxation. You cannot bully a guarded system into softness. You cannot shame yourself into peace. You cannot call yourself ridiculous and expect your body to feel safe. The part of you that cannot relax is not trying to ruin your life. It is trying to protect you in the only language it learned. It thinks scanning is care. It thinks tension is preparation. It thinks guilt is discipline.
It thinks control is love.
And maybe, for a long time, those things helped you survive your environment. Maybe they helped you avoid conflict. Maybe they helped you stay useful. Maybe they helped you feel one step ahead of disappointment. But now the same protection may be keeping you from receiving the life you worked so hard to make calmer. This is the quiet tragedy of constant readiness. You may build a safer life and still live in it like an alarm is about to sound. You may finally have a soft evening and still treat it like a test. You may be surrounded by proof that nothing is wrong, but your body keeps asking, "Are you sure?" And the answer does not arrive all at once. It may begin in small moments, not with a perfect calm, not with a transformed life, not with a sudden ability to switch everything off, but with noticing the old signal when it appears, when you reach for your phone without knowing why, when rest starts to feel like guilt, when silence begins to feel like danger, when you turn a free hour into another performance. In that moment, you do not have to fight yourself. You can simply recognize what is happening. A part of you is trying to regain control because control once felt like safety. That recognition matters because it creates a tiny space between who you are and what you learned to do. You are not the tension. You are the person who learned to carry it. You are not broken because peace feels strange. You may just be meeting a kind of calm your body has not fully learned to trust yet. And maybe the beginning is not forcing yourself to relax perfectly. Maybe the beginning is letting one quiet moment be slightly uncomfortable without immediately escaping it, letting the phone stay face down for a little longer, letting the dishes wait for a few minutes, letting the room be still without turning the stillness into a problem to solve. Not because you should be calm on command, but because your life cannot only be a place where you prepare for the next demand. At some point, the part of you that has been standing guard needs to learn that it is allowed to look around and see what is actually here, not what used to happen, not what might happen. Here, this room, this breath, this evening, this small pocket of time where nothing is asking you to prove your worth. And maybe, for now, that is enough. Not perfect relaxation, just one moment where you do not turn peace into another responsibility. Because the goal is not to become someone who never feels tense. The goal is to stop believing tension is the price of being safe, loved, prepared, or good. You were not made only to monitor life. You were not made only to prevent disappointment. You were not made only to answer, fix, prepare, scan, and brace. There is a version of you beneath all that readiness who does not need an emergency to feel real. And when calm finally begins to feel less like a threat and more like a place you are allowed to enter, you may realize something quietly powerful. Nothing was wrong, but your body was still waiting for the old world to return. If this felt familiar, stay with hidden patterns. There are more quiet emotional patterns we mistake for personality, and sometimes seeing them clearly is the first moment they stop owning the whole room.